This June 24th, 2021 library board meeting is begin. Let's start with roll call.
Chairperson Long.
Present.
Vice Chair Cranston.
Present.
Trustee Balderson.
Present.
Trustee Patton. Trustee Lucas.
Present.
McCorm is present.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 2, public comment. If any members of the public wish to speak to the board, we will take public comment now. All right. Doesn't look like we have any, so we'll move on to item 3, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Do you guys have any changes? Any comment? I didn't have anything. Everything looked good.
I read it and it looked fine.
All right.
I move to approve.
I'll entertain a second.
Chairman Carson, second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are you good over there? All right, motion carries. We'll move on to item 4, the Friends of the Library report. So it looks like we have a report. Do we have anybody that would like to? Do we have a report? Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, there it is. I found it. Did we have anybody who wanted to say anything about it, or no? Okay. Alrighty then. I just want to take a look at this. I don't know. I think it's pretty much the same as last time. So, all right. If nobody has any questions or anything about that, we'll move on. All right. So item 5 are items for possible action by the board. And 5A is discussion, presentation, and possible adoption of the library policy as amended. So these, we talked about these changes and kind of sorting this out in the December meeting. Breaking it out between policy, bylaws, so Trustee Balderson, I'm not sure if you've had any.
Sure. Just as a refresher, I guess, for everyone, because we had this conversation in like December, was it? Yeah, long time. I'm looking at Amy like she's like our resident historian here. The idea here was that we had a document that contained both policy and bylaws within the same document. And the first step was to separate those two things so that bylaws would be their own separate document and then policies would be their own. We did do a review. And I think that ongoing we'll probably do try to shoot for an annual kind of update, read through it, make sure things still look current and correct and reflect what we want it to reflect. But I think the big thing here was pulling those two things apart and having bylaws be bylaws and policy be policy. We did have some other changes and lots of other discussion. I'm not really sure how much of that is incorporated in what we have in front of us today. However, I will say that being that this is policy review should be an ongoing hygienic thing that all organizations engage in, it's not critical that we have every little item that was discussed in December reflected in what's in front of us today. So I think that's all I had to say about that, Madam Chair, if you had questions.
I don't think I do. I remember looking at the changes that we talked about, and some of the ones that I was looking at, I've noticed that they're in here, and I'm glad to see that these are separated because I think they should be. Beth, did you have something?
No.
So, so if we don't have any changes and we think these look good for now,
I believe these are the ones that had also been vetted from our district attorney's office. Is that correct, sir?
Ben Johnson, Deputy District Attorney for the record. Yes, Jason Woodbury did review and make some changes. I believe his changes were primarily grammatical, typographical. I'm not sure that they were substantive as far as I saw, but yes, it has been reviewed by the DA's office.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
I'm good with that. I don't think I have any changes this time. I'll entertain a motion if you guys are ready to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt the new Carson City Library policy as revised April 2021.
I think we have to do both the policy and the bylaws.
And
And together, as well as the Carson City Library Board bylaws, also updated April 2021.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. We are good. Approved. Oh, I guess that was A and B.
Yeah, you could take them separately or together and
Right. Okay. Well, we took it
take
together.
it together. Easy.
Cool.
We're very efficient today, Madam Chair.
Trying. It is. It's making me very efficient. Okay, so we'll move on to all the administrative reports, and we'll start with the director report since Dr. Colgrove is not here. Do we have somebody who's going to present for her?
This is Joy Holt, filling in for Dr. Colgrove. For the record, I'm the department business manager. Does anyone have any questions about the attached budget reports?
I don't have any.
I did not.
Hello. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to.
I can't tell if it's, oh, I
No,
can't
you're
tell if
good
it's
now.
green. Okay. Wow. Shall I just move on to the
Yeah.
library report?
Yeah.
First off, I know that Dr. Colgrove really wanted to start with extending his heartfelt gratitude on behalf of all of the staff at the library for Chair Long, your dedicated service, particularly in this sort of topsy-turvy whirlwind that's happened during your tenure. So not just COVID, but the hiring of a new library director, all very unique situations that don't come around often, and many board members never face that. So he wanted to say just deep thanks from the whole staff, really. And we wanted to present you with that flower, but I was afraid to walk up with it and like fall and trip and bust it.
Oh, I just thought it was
So-
a decoration.
No,
Look
that's
at how
for
pretty
you.
that is.
And
That is so nice.
we also have something for Trustee Patton. But if you're there, Phyllis, we have something for you at the library.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. We appreciate you. And it really is important to recognize Trustee Patton's longtime, heartfelt, deep commitment to the propagation and support of the library. It is going to be a serious loss to all of us here at the library that, I mean, I'm sure we'll still see her, but she has just been such an integral part to the success and promotion of the library. So we feel it's just really important to recognize her, and we're sorry we can't do that in person. But feel better, Phyllis. We're thinking about you.
Yeah, she has a total of like this doesn't even have all of it. I think she has a total of 16 years with the board.
Yeah,
Overall,
because
like,
she's,
between
yeah, I
her-
think it's a 4-year break. You have to take a 4-year break and then you can come
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So maybe we'll see her in 4 years. That would be awesome.
You never know.
Do you hear that, Phyllis?
She's going, yeah,
So-
yeah.
I'm going to move on to what Todd actually included, what Dr. Kolrove included on his actual report. And so he did mention on here that just our deep gratitude and appreciation to both of you. And we are sad to see you go. And also, just to put a bug in everyone's ear, we do need to think about a chair since you'll be leaving us, Chair Long. But we do want to welcome 2 new members. Hi. Miss Sari Nichols, is it Sari? Sari, sorry. And Dr. Betts Markle have agreed to join us. So their first meeting will be our July meeting. So I don't see Dr. Markle because I know her. She's not here. But they will both be incredible additions to the board. So we're very lucky. And then, let's see, I think that's it. Dr. Colgrove did identify some concerns and communications issues that were raised at the last meeting, and he has made strides to communicate with the management team. We've had a couple of management meetings, and I know that he has sat in on each team's individual team meetings, at least one, maybe more, and he is actively considering the possibility of changes to workload so that everyone can feel a little less overwhelmed. And I really can't speak to any more details, unfortunately, about that. So he has identified some changes and some possible next steps to take, but again, those details are not necessarily known to me, so.
No problem. Well, thank you for stepping in.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, let's move on to where are we? Item 7. So we'll move on to the collection development report.
That was so fast. Amy Lauder, Collection Development Manager for the record. The first item is just kind of running down the various things we're doing to support the summer learning program, and Maria will tell you more about how that's actually going in terms of attendance isn't right, registration and participation, but we always like to make sure we're promoting all the related things. So we have displays up in the library. We have our kind of book list flyers both in the building, and they're also linked on the Beanstack site. So if you haven't played with that on the app or the site, check it out. There's reading recommendations, and it filters by age. It's really fun to play with. So we put up a bunch, not just animal books, other things too. So we made sure to have a few different things for every age group. So and those just you just click on the book cover, it goes to the catalog. So it's very easy to use. And then just the other item was just kind of an overview of the past year in books, which has been challenging. Just having trouble. And I believe if you go in the PDF, you should be able to click through on some of these links. If not, you can just search them if you're interested in reading some more about kind of how that has been going. But basically the fallout from, closures and restrictions has just kind of been a long tail of things. Yeah. Ermel's gonna try and click on things, maybe.
So do you mean like supply chain issues,
Supply-
bottlenecking, that kind
all,
of thing?
all the way through, like, just the first thing that happened at the closures was publication dates getting pushed back, because a big part of scheduling those publication dates is events. Um, so a lot of people were really hoping to do like their book tour, in a couple months. We'll just push it back a little bit and do it a little bit later. So then suddenly had like this big glob of dates that got pushed back to the fall. Then we started having issues with the printers. I think they're down to like one or two like businesses that do that kind of printing in the United States, just like trade books. The kind of educational book market just fell off a cliff with school closures, so that's been a big change. I think a lot of stuff has gone digital and may not go back. But there has been a very high demand for kind of a lot of what we do, which is kind of adult, leisure reading. So there's been very, very high sustained demand for that, but with challenges with staffing and supplies for printing and just the capacity of the printing facilities. We've had a lot of things like you'll get your highest, interest titles will get printed first, and some things, maybe they'll get a short print run, and then if the libraries didn't get their copy out of the first print run, suddenly we're waiting several months before they're able to do a second print run, so we're getting titles very late for that reason. And then again, with our suppliers, because of how our staff has been restructured, I mean, at least 10 years ago now, there was a reduction in staff. And part of how we're able to continue operating at the capacity that we do is that we outsource a lot of our processing work, the labeling and cataloging, things like that, is done at the warehouse of our book supplier. That used to be in Reno. It was switched to Moments, Illinois, fall in 2019. It was summer 2019, and so that already was a transition. With getting, we already started noticing things slowing down at that point. They promised us it would be faster, but it's just gotten slower and slower. So like everybody is like, we're having staffing issues. They've been having staffing issues the entire time. It's just, it hasn't been easy to overcome that over the past year, so they're still working on that. The good news on that, though, is I have met with them and gone over some of the specific issues that we are having. We have already started to see a much higher turnaround rate, a much faster turnaround rate for some of our new titles coming in. We're not getting in, we're kind of at this transition with the fiscal year, so we're not getting new purchase titles in, but our lease accounts, those are starting to come in ahead of their release dates, which is good. That means we can have them on the floor on their release date. So that's already looking better. And we also have check-ins scheduled with them monthly to make sure things are on track. So I'm hoping that some of that aspect will kind of get better. The other part was like movies and DVDs. You may have noticed not a lot of stuff getting into theaters, which means not a lot of DVDs getting published. So we're just honestly spending a lot less just because there's less content. And I do not know yet how much that will bounce back. Because one of the trends we've been seeing over the past several years is with a lot of stuff going straight to streaming, it's a lot slower to come out on DVD if it does at all. Sometimes it doesn't at all. And I'm not sure. That was mostly TV for a long time. I'm not sure how that will translate to film over the next several years. I expect it'll just kind of get a little more sparse. It should go up from what this year was, which was almost no big titles coming out on DVD, very, very few. So I expect we'll see more in the next year, but I also expect that overall, just physical media for audio and video is gonna slowly start declining. So that'll be interesting to watch. I think I talked a lot about several of these things. Let me know if you have questions, and feel free to explore the further reading if that interests you. This is just like the summary of like the challenges that we have been getting a lot of stuff in, so it's not, we're okay, but we're like, oh, stuff could be better. But I think it is getting better, so that's good.
That's
In summary.
encouraging. I do have just a quick clarification. I think I know the answer to this already. But for your listed strategic goal, it looks like we might have cut out a few words. So we have two strategic goals that mention, at least two strategic goals that mention service program and resources. I think you mean the one that's continually develop and improve services and programs and
What's the
goals,
other
and
one?
not operations to ensure smooth delivery, right?
Oh. I guess it's both. Maybe I'll reword that for the next one.
Okay.
So that's that. You're right. That's
You
maybe
can
not as
have
clear as it
multiple
could
goals
be.
being addressed with your
Yeah.
activities, of
I
course.
just want to
was
have more
curious.
space for like
Totally
stories.
get it. Well, you can use a shorthand.
I
Just
think
give
I was
us the
trying
number.
to. I will revisit that and make it a little more clear.
Yeah. No worries. I just
Thank
wanted
you.
quick clarification. And if you just want to throw out the number, and like we could go look
Yeah,
at the
goal
goals of
one,
a separate
goal
document,
two.
just where
All
they're
right.
listed and where they live, you know?
All right.
Easy. Give
Sounds
yourself
good.
some more room. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Amy. All right, let's move on to the creative learning report with Maria.
All right, Maria Cuesta, Creative Learning Manager for the record. All right, so first thing I wanted to start off with was our Teen Library Council garden planting. So last month, Jay Hodnett, who is our Senior Library Assistant in the Creative Learning Department, she facilitated planting in our garden space. And this was a volunteer project that she coordinated with our Teen Library Council. So the photos you see are of members of the TLC club there. And they had a total of 140 native plants, which valued at $875, donated by Nevada Fish and Wildlife. So we had great support by Carson City Parks and Recreation and Open Space, UNR Cooperative Extension, and B City USA number 76. So it was a great opportunity for us to revitalize that space. And it was perfect timing because then we ended up having our kickoff for the Summer Learning Challenge out in that space as well, which I'll go into that real quick too. That was on June 12th, and we had 98 people attend that event. The photo on the right is actually a mom and son who attended that event, and they were exploring the community science backpacks that we have. So we were showcasing that at our kickoff event, which we had, I think, like 3 families actually check them out and actually go through the activities while we were hosting that. We also had a chance to help people register. We gave out the take-home kits and answered any questions they might have. And then we had this really cute owl take and make activity that they could do with like a pine cone and cotton, yeah, it was really awesome. And then we also had an opportunity to pass out the community survey. So it was a great opportunity for some people to fill that out. We also gave out little sheets with the link that they could fill it out online if they preferred. June 13th, we had 281 people signed up, but I do have updates on our numbers. So as of today, we have 385 people signed up for summer learning, which is super exciting because that number is more than our total for 2020 and more than what we had signed up for 2018. So we're already on a really great path this year. And we are also doing really well with reading. Our total goal was going to be 200,000 minutes for this year, but we're already close to 70,000. So I have a feeling we'll probably surpass that again. Last year, they ended up reading 238,039 minutes. So we'll see if we even increase from that goal. So yeah, I would say we are doing really well. It's been only, almost 2 weeks now. So it's great to see everyone so involved and coming to our programs and participating. So great stuff. Do you guys have any questions about anything that I shared today?
I don't know if I see it in anybody else's report. Do we have any idea like how many survey responses we think that we've got?
I don't think we.
have access to that information.
No.
Yeah.
When does that end?
I'm Joy Holt,
Sorry.
Department Business Manager for the record. So the online versions are going through Fred Steinman with UNR.
Okay.
So we don't have those results. As far as paper responses, I think we have about 10.
Okay.
So hopefully we're getting a lot of online responses. And in addition to that, we have sent out, the finance department's blasted the whole city for us. And also Parks and Rec has sent out
Oh, nice.
yeah, a link to it on all their listservs or distribution lists. So
Okay.
hopefully that's a lot of people. So
Yeah.
we're hoping that
We'll get
that will
some.
render some results. Yeah.
Do we have a deadline for it, or we just kind of?
We extended it. We initially was going to be June 30th.
Okay.
But because we had discussed too with Fred Steinman kind of the possibility if like we're not seeing a lot of results by June 30th, can we extend it out? So I believe we've extended it out until at least the middle of July,
Okay.
possibly the end of July. It's pretty flexible. But we
Yeah.
do want to wrap it up at some
Yeah.
point, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay.
Because at some point you kind of just have to call that you're not going to get any more responses, and
Yeah.
that's really I think been left up to Mr. Steinman. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that's not in here, but I was just curious. Thank you, Maria. All this looks great. I can't believe that the summer learning challenge is doing even better than it was last year.
Actually, I kind of had a question about that. Like, what is the magic? Like, where are you keeping your little pouch of like?
I know,
What are
right?
we
Yeah.
doing? How are we doing this?
I think a lot of it is staff, just really promoting it, being involved. We've grown a really great group who attend our programming, and then the word just spreads out. So I think that's been integral. It's just word of mouth, and then everything that we're putting out, social media, calendars, and all that. So, yeah.
Nice work.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Joy with admin and grants.
This is Joy Holt, the Department Business Manager. So our budget augmentations were submitted, but at the time that I printed these budget reports, they hadn't appeared. If you'll recall, last time we discussed the difference between an augmentation and a supplement. I did have a meeting with the Finance Department this morning to just kind of pick their brains about some things, some questions that I had. And I was able to see that our augmentations had been approved and are appearing now on our budget. So that is especially important for the gift fund. You might have seen that there's a negative balance in our hourly wage, hourly personnel. And that was because we needed to request authority in that account for the staff payment. And then our final 22 budgets, they're almost done. They've not announced to us that they're finished, but I do have some numbers from particularly in reference to our collection development funds, which are the same as last year. But we will very likely, I expect that we'll be able to supplement that with transfers from other accounts, but we'll make that determination closer to the end of the fiscal year next year. Also, since we're talking about budgets and reports, I was able to I actually learned some really interesting tricks and whatnots in our the city's new, well, it's not really new anymore, it's 2 years old, accounting system. And so I'm going to experiment with these budget reports that I've been producing for next time and see if we like that format. One of the reasons that I was there to speak with finance was because the reports that we produce now, the bottom line numbers are not necessarily accurate because we're not showing the true bottom line because of pending transactions that have not been approved yet in the system. So it turns out there is a way to produce a report that shows everything that's pending up until it could be as close as the week of that I produce the reports. So that'll be helpful for us to have a more, because I can see all of that. But there is a report that it's a little bit of a, Trustee Balderson probably knows, you have to sort of do a little bit of finagling in Excel to make it all happen, but it's actually much more expedient than what we've been doing now, and it's more accurate. So we'll see if you guys like the layout, and we'll go from there. As far as grants are concerned, still Think Bionics is underway, but it's just about wrapped up, and we are going to, or have actually submitted a budget adjustment to the state library. We had accounted for and requested a certain amount of money for the cost of the Nevada Career Explorer that's being used in tandem with the program. The Nevada Career Explorer is sort of Match.com for jobs, and part of the program is introducing the participants to the Nevada Career Explorer. And after we had written the grant, the state library actually covered the cost for the entire state. So that reduced our our award. Well, the amount that we asked for would be reduced. So we knew we were going to have to do an amendment fairly, probably about halfway through the grant, would you say? Also, we had a reduction in salaries because our instructor was not able to attend the last two camps. So thankfully, Vanna Bells with the Creative Learning Department stepped up, but it reduced our staff costs. So we also increased our supplies to make up the difference, but no matter what, it reduced the overall award, so that had to be amended. The LSTA or CARES grant, that's still out there, and the money has been received, but we need to purchase the equipment, and we have been holding off on that per the advice of IT because of talk about vendor delays, as Amy had mentioned. It's like a 90-day wait right now, and IT suggested that we wait and to see if there is if we can get to a point where that gap isn't quite so wide. So we are going to be purchasing at least 5 Dell computers, all-in-ones that will go in the public computer lab upstairs. We requested a supplement for those, and we were able to get that. So we'll see an increase to that budget going forward in the new fiscal year. The citizen science grant, when I wrote this, it was expected by the end of this month, and ironically, it was received today. And so that has been dropped off at the treasurer's office, hand-delivered. And so we'll see, then we actually came in just a little under budget on that. So that was what purchased those cool little backpacks that you saw the mom and son using in the Secret Garden. And then the Digitorium, woot woot, has new carpets. And it's really pretty, and it smells really new. And we just have to thank the facilities department for thinking of us when the district attorney's office freed up some money for us. So thanks. And it's carpet squares, which maybe I'm the only person that's excited about that, but that makes things a lot easier when you have to replace carpet. When things get dirty and gross, you can just cut out the square. And thanks to the Creative Learning Department, because this carpet installation, I was told it was going to happen at the end of July, and I was gone for a few days last couple weeks ago. And while I was gone, they appeared and were like, "We're ready to put in the carpet." And so, thank goodness, the Creative Learning Department was prepared to move the furniture and do what needed to be done to help with the install. So, I mean, it might have been, had they not done that, the movement of the furniture might have taken as long as the install itself. And then the staff room sink installation is actually happening. And yeah, feels like it's been the journey of 1,000 miles. And we're a little bit of a construction zone in the back staff room. But there you go. I think I've mentioned this before. Part of the holdup is the contractor is so busy from people doing home improvements that they're literally squeezing us in where they can. So that's all I've got. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I do have one. I
Okay.
just want to make sure on the LSTA CARES grant that
Yeah.
holding off isn't going to jeopardize that that money or anything?
It's not, we have until the end of August to spend it.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll spend it, if we can't, if we don't see a change, by probably middle of July or end of July, we'll place the order.
Okay.
Yeah. So you only have to have spent it.
Right,
Yeah,
by that
by that
time.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a non-reimbursement. So, or I mean, it's a, yeah, we don't have to, we draw down on it, but we draw down the funds on it, but we don't have a match, is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
I guess that was my same question on the IT equipment, right? So putting off the ordering. So so you're saying the money, it has to be spent, not encumbered, actually spent by the end of August?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at our resident IT guy. They told you to wait on ordering because it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, so I don't understand that logic because
I don't follow it either.
Don't
Okay.
order it until we almost have to order it. So wait till
Well, I
August
think
or
they
whatever.
anticipated that there might be a quicker turnaround if we waited, because of the manufacturing.
Well, the problem
Catching
well,
up.
There's actually a shortage of chips being produced right now,
Okay.
which is causing a delay in computer production. So the chances of you guys waiting and hoping for the term to come shorter isn't great. I would just go ahead and order them.
Okay.
Because then, if best case scenario, you get them earlier than you expected. Worst case scenario, you get them in 90 days. Right?
True.
Because if we wait until the end of July and you order them, then you've already wasted, well, not wasted, but waited, 50 days?
Well, more than.
Yeah.
More than,
so-
yeah, we could have had it by now.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
well,
was just-
actually, when I asked them about it a month ago or more, 6 weeks ago, the delivery date was end of August. So,
Right. I mean, that's strange logic to me, coming from your IT department.
As long
I
as
don't
we
get
use
but
it.
I would just do it, yeah.
As long as we use it and we get the equipment and before that grant deadline, like that's all my biggest concern.
yeah, it's definitely on my radar, and that's kind of what I do. So, yeah, I will go ahead and we'll order them.
I don't see any reason not to. I mean,
Okay.
the money's spent one way or the other. If you wait for the computers to come, you wait for the computers to come. At
Sure.
least you know they're coming, right?
Well, you're the subject matter expert, so I'll take your advice.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to access services with Ermol.
Ermel Reinhardt, Access Services Manager for the record. I'm not going to be as fun as the other three. We're going to be talking about patron count. And, this year we had to go through COVID. So what this means is that our overall patron count, door count, has gone down significantly. We're looking at about 4,000 on a good month, and then bad month it was about 1,000. So this is something that staff are aware of, that we have been having less people in the building. But as Maria pointed out, there's a lot of engagement with programming, especially online, and summer reading challenge is proof of that. Our digital collection, which I'm sure Amy will talk about in the future, has been seeing a lot of use. So despite the downturn in physical, I would say that in terms of digital engagement, online engagement, we're still doing pretty good despite these numbers. Just to go through a quick timeline, in March, that's when we closed the building. So prior to March, we're looking at fiscal year 1920. We were doing comparable to fiscal year 1819. April, May, we were closed entirely. June, we tried to reopen, and then we had to close for a little bit and do curbside only around December. And then we reopened again, and now we're kind of slowly getting back into the swing of things. So I'm expecting it's going to take a little bit of time to get back to where we were, but in terms of engagement and use, I'm not too concerned about that. But physical, that's going to take some time.
So
Can I just as a add on to that, because he pulled these numbers several weeks ago, I did pull circulation numbers, which don't track exactly with door count, but similar. um, for June. And based on that, projecting based on that, I expect June to finally be up by about 20-25%. From the past few months, they've kind of been, you can see they've kind of been level since we reopened mid-February. I think it is finally starting to track a bit upwards, so it's
Yeah.
good.
So I'm thinking that like this is not concerning at all to me. I'm really not concerned that we have a slow comeback. I think what I would like to see is overall, like not just patron total visits to the library, but like our digital use too. Because I think that we're going to see over the coming year that while these numbers may slightly even return close to what they were, I mean, it might even take a year or so to even get back to where we were. And so if we are looking at patron count and then we're looking at like all the other services that we've got, our digital services, our, you know, the numbers that have gone up, and if all of that together is looking really good, like this is not something that is alarming me at all.
I actually have a question. Or did you have a response?
Oh, I was just gonna say in regards to that, I'm pretty sure Amy, last time we looked at the numbers, like the use of overdrive and things like that, they skyrocketed during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Before. I'm hoping to have some kind of numbers for the year next month.
It would be
Uh,
nice
don't
to
hold me
see
to that.
that in conjunction with patrons, so we can kind
Yeah.
of see an overall of both of it. Like if you guys can maybe,
It's kind of hard to
connect it.
compare things sometimes, like even just
Yeah.
within, like I'll be looking at electronic resources and all of them track usage so differently. It's like, well,
Yeah,
we're just picking
absolutely.
a number. So it is hard to compare sometimes, but maybe we
Does
can
it-
come up with something.
Does it have a metric like logins, like successful
Yeah,
logins
like the
or something
one I
like that?
try to use most often is logins. Ebooks is easy because they have circulation. It's how many times it was checked out. But things like databases and things, some of them are logins, some of them are hours used.
Is there a way to do
It
active
varies.
accounts, like accounts that have been active within the last X number of days or something like that?
It depends on the service.
Because I think if you did accounts that have been active within the number of days, that'd be the most comparable to patrons
Yeah.
coming through the doors.
It's just kind of like it's however the vendor set it up,
Okay.
and they have different.
So
metrics
everybody's
for
just
how-
kind of rolling
Some
the
of them
dice to see
count
what happens.
more things than others. So those vary a lot. But the most used ones are a little more reliable, at least anyway. But yeah, that could be interesting to maybe compile something for the fiscal year, perhaps.
I- I would just be curious. So, couple things. We are going to have a couple new board members joining us. I would appreciate any kind of just a very basic, like 8th grade, for me, 5th grade level. Just an explanation. When you say door count, you mean physical people, but on the ground through the door, right?
Walking through the door.
Okay. So, and that's just the tally? You're counting the people in.
So you'll notice that on the sheet here, it says count divided by 2 because it tracks them going in and out.
Yeah, I
So I divided by 2 just because we only
Okay.
wanted to know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about those. It's
Mhm.
just, you're just, that's cool. Okay, see, 5th grade, we learn things. But, but I asked because when you consider that as a function of, and this might be some higher level math that I'm not willing to do right now, but compared to your open hours, right? So if we could adjust these lines for the hours that we're opening instead of a straight tally, it's going to be 0. Of course, the doors were closed. Of course, it's going to be 0. But to say for the periods that were open, where the traffic came and went, and I think another piece too is we have a very cautious community,
Yeah.
and we don't want.
On
Yeah.
that topic, it was interesting to me to notice, like the summer numbers last year, the kind of June through early November, I guess. We were open 20 hours a week. We were not open full hours. And
Right.
then starting in February, I think we weren't open 100% full hours, but we were open I think we're 40 hours. And then added the rest back up to like 56 or whatever it is. So mostly full-time hours. And both the circulation and the foot traffic numbers stayed very similar to when we were 20 hours. during that time, up until very recently. So yeah, I just think it's just kind of the same group of people that have the same comfort level, and I think that will track upwards. But it
Yeah.
was interesting to see how much that didn't affect it.
So that
at
adds
the
a layer
time.
to the
There's all this
conversation,
stuff.
though, right? So to give that kind of that basic overview, that's very, very helpful to have that kind of context and to kind of fill in some of the spaces there. But then also, I'm hearing that these are, again, people through the doors, not necessarily any use of a card or any demonstration of engagement. Maybe they went.
And like most of these, like when we were
where were
open
they
last summer, we didn't have computers open, so anybody coming in was generally checking out items. And now we have some seating and computers open, so not everybody coming in is checking it out.
So there's
items.
one more piece of
The difference. So there's like
There's
so
one more
many. It's like,
piece.
how do you visualize all
Right.
of this? I don't
Right,
know.
and I personally don't know if I need a line graph or if it's just like, give me some context, tell me,
Well, tell a story.
I like
story,
line
tell me the
graphs. Some
narrative.
people like the data.
Yeah.
That's me.
I appreciate you. I hear you, but I appreciate you.
I look at that, and then I look at that one that you gave us, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, okay.
But yeah, like, especially like you said, with new people coming in next month, that'll be a great overview time.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
maybe
And
we'll
basic,
pull some stuff together.
I would say actually that's probably for all of you, any area where you can give like just quick and dirty explanation of what your library terms are, what your budget terms are, if you can. Does that include, so door count does not count, curbside, is curbside counted differently?
Curbside is counted differently.
The door count will include the staff going in and out the door to deliver curbside. However,
Oh.
Yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of our.
So then you kind of get a
system.
curbside.
you get a
count,
little bit
too.
of it, yeah.
Interesting. Oh, there you go, just keep
That's
that.
true. All right. Well, thanks, Irmal.
Of course.
All right. So we'll move on to item 8, and we'll do board member announcements and requests for information. So this is my last meeting. I'm sad. It has been really awesome to be working with you guys for the last 5 years, or the shorter amount of time that I've worked with everybody and been on the board with you guys. But I think that I'm leaving it in capable hands for sure. And I just think that everything that you guys all do at the library is just amazing. You know, you guys really, it's really an honor to be part of the library board here in Carson City, because I think we have one of the best libraries in the state, and that we're continuing that momentum. And I really hope that, you know, coming out of COVID and seeing all of this, you know, traffic and getting people back to the library and refreshing the strategic plan and the survey and all of that will help really, you know, take our library even further and kind of meet those pieces that maybe we tried to work on and we've been working towards and keep working on them, or, you know, coming up with some new plans, because I think that, you know, we're in a new world. So our library could look a lot different. And I think that our digital piece component of the library is just going to take off. And I hope that somebody's paying attention to that too. So I just wanted to say it's been an honor, and that I'm really glad that I got to meet all of you guys and work with you so much. And it really such a great group of people. And my request would be, especially when we have new board people, it's, you know, it's like drinking out of a fire hydrant when you come on as a new board member, because I came onto the board using the library heavily because my kids were a lot littler than they are now. So I knew there were a lot of things that I knew, but there were a lot of things I did not know. So things like, you know, just like Trustee Balderson was saying, you know, like explaining to them a little bit more, giving them a little bit, maybe next meeting everybody can have in their reports just a little brief summary of your department, something that can help like pass that information along to the new board members so that they can kind of get a running start and they know sort of like what creative learning does. Like it sounds like it might be very, you know, your titles might seem to be really explanatory, but I think like really some of the stuff that you guys do, there's more to it than just what you would think on the surface level. And so anything that you think is just very notable about your department, your people, things that you think that they're going to be needing to understand, terms, all of that good stuff. Like that would be really great to maybe include in your report next time for the 2 new members. And just, help them along. And so I appreciate all of you guys and everything that you guys do for the library and the community.
We appreciate you too. We're sad to
Thank
see you
you.
go, but congratulations and good luck.
Thank
as
you
move
very
on.
much.
Keep us posted.
I definitely will. You guys will hear from me. I use the online resources more than in person, but now that we're back in person, you might see me down there with my laptop getting out of my house to work.
Yeah.
So
Cool. We hope to see you.
thank you guys. All right.
I just add very quickly, what in the world are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do?
What are you gonna do? You're leaving the board. What are you gonna do?
I'm actually going to be on the American Marketing Association board doing event planning. So a lot different, but on a board. But I know that's going to take up a lot more of my time. So don't worry, I won't be bored.
I have certainly appreciated working with you and everything that you've had to share and all of your knowledge and general good humor during these meetings when we've had sometimes kind of spiraling conversations and you just gently reel us back in. I certainly appreciate that and I've had a lot of fun working
Thanks,
with
I
you. So
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
I'm glad to have you on my board too, as well.
Thank you very much for being here and, stepping up and taking over as chair when you did and, leading us and doing an excellent job.
Thanks. It's been great working with you guys. All right, we'll move on to public comment. If anybody would like to make public comment.
There are no callers on the line at this time.
Okay. That means there's no public comment. All right. Well, thank you guys, and we are adjourned.